Hello traders, this is a chart request for Radiant blockchain, ticker RXD, not to confuse it with Radiant Capital, which has a different ticker. Now, lately I'm getting a lot of chart requests, and I don't mind doing it for you because that's what I do all day, but I want to contribute to you personally and professionally, and the best thing that I can do for you is to show you what you can do for yourself. This way, you will not be beholden to any one person, and you will be able to do charting by yourself and to uh, make trading decisions by yourself. So, first of all, when we are talking about micro cap cryptos, meaning not the first 100 or 200 market cap coins, I don't consider them trades at all. They are investments, or if you can call them investments, or position trades. So it's different from trading because you don't necessarily have to wait for the best entry, and you don't necessarily have to wait for support or for a pullback, because we are talking about lunch money trades. All these micro caps, you don't go all in on them. You put in a small amount of money that you wouldn't feel uncomfortable about losing, and you set and forget, okay? But the charting aspect, I want to show you the basics of what I do so you can do it for yourself. So whenever I get a chart request or whenever I want to look at a chart, first of all, I open the weekly time frame, nothing less than the weekly. And when I look at the weekly time frame, I just want to determine the trend, okay? Is it up or is it down? Because I am looking for winners. I don't want to, I'm not looking at coins that are in a downtrend usually. I'm certainly not looking for coins that are in a range also usually. I want to see coins that are in an uptrend, okay? So let's look at RXD. You can see that on the weekly time frame it is in a downtrend. Why? Because it had a high, a low, lower high, and a lower low. Then let's try and find useful trend lines. You see that we can connect all the highs and we have some sort of a trend line. This already gives us a good impression of RXD. You can see that it is in a downtrend. However, since October, it is in an uptrend, and this week it went above the trend line, which is a good sign, a good beginning. Okay? Now, when will I consider this coin to be bullish? You see that it had this lower high. I just pull a trend line, and whenever RXD will close a daily candle above this lower high, then it will be bullish on the large time frame, on the bigger time frame, on the weekly, and this is when I will have more confidence about this coin. Once I've finished that, I move to the daily time frame. And on the daily time frame, I open a momentum indicator. I usually use the RSI and the volume indicator. And we try to do the same for the coin on the daily time frame. Okay? For example, let's pull a trend line. You see that on the daily time frame, clearly this asset is an uptrend. First, we have a change of character, a bullish change of character. Why? Because the October 20 candle was closed above the recent the previous swing high. So a bullish change of character is the first good sign. Second, you can see that we have a break of structure on November 8th and another break of structure on November 19th. All are good signs because this coin made a high, lower high, higher high, lower high, and now it is in the process of making a lower high. So on the daily time frame, this coin is bullish and it is good. Now let's pull a second trend line for the daily time frame. You can see that on the daily time frame it is a rising channel, more or less a rising channel, and generally speaking it's a sign of an uptrend. However, rising channels usually eventually break to the downside. Okay, now let's move to the RSI, to the momentum indicator. Okay, because a momentum indicator shows you how much power there is behind the price action. Price action is king, but momentum and volume are also very important. What I'm looking for is divergences. Is there a divergence? Does the RSI tell you something different than the price, or is the volume telling you a different message than what the price is telling you? And you can see that the RSI is above 70, which is considered overbought. But when we are talking low cap or micro cap coins, it's not as important. Second thing that we can do is look for divergences. For example, this is a high. Let's connect this high to the next high. You see that price is rising and the RSI is rising together with price, which is a good sign because there are no divergences. Let's assume that this is the top and from here price will go down. Okay, what information will it give us? We will see that price is making a higher high, but the momentum indicator is doing a lower high, which is a sign of exhaustion. This is what I mean by looking for divergences. In this chart, currently there are no divergences. Now let's move to the volume indicator. Generally speaking, if price is moving up, I would very much like to see the volume moving up as well. And here there are no divergences between the volume and price. You see that price is advancing and the momentum indicator is advancing and the volume indicator is advancing, which is very good. So the market structure is bullish. There are no divergences on the momentum indicator and there is no divergence between the volume and price, which tells us that this price action is solid. We also have a trend line, and as long as the trend line holds, we can say that uh, the uptrend will continue, which are all good signs. Now, if I was making a trade decision, what I would have done is I would look for pullback areas or for support or for supply and demand zones, which is a subject for another video, to look for entries. If I was trading this, if I was taking it as a trade, usually I don't buy an asset or I don't look for a long when the asset is in the overbought territory and I never, almost never, never say never, I never buy green candles. I'm always looking for a pullback. I want the asset to be generally in an uptrend, but within the uptrend, I will try and enter on the pullback. For example, on this trend line here, on this touch, or on this touch, or I will be looking for supply and demand zones, but I'm not looking for entries when I see green candles, because you know the saying of what happens to traders that buy green candles. Now, about this, after I decided on, or determined, not decided, the larger uptrend and the larger trend and the daily trend, and I'm looking for entries, it is important to determine a target, meaning don't at least have a big picture idea about where do you want to get out. For example, if this was a trade, then my first take profit would be at this level, at the point 0038. Why? Because this is a lower high, and I'm assuming that price will encounter a resistance at this level. So this is where I would set the first take profit, and the second take profit I would set, for example, at the previous high, at the all-time high at 0.00685. But when we are talking about micro caps, I think that approaching it as a trade and taking profits at resistance is not your best move, because these assets could make a lot of progress in a very short time, and maybe your best exit point would be, for example, make up your mind how much you want to make. Maybe you are satisfied with a 5x or with a 6x or a 10x, and take your profit there. Or the best way to go about it is to close your trade when the trend has changed, meaning that when this asset will begin after a high to make a low, a lower high, lower low, lower high, this is when you get out, okay? Because the trend has changed, at least on the daily time frame. This would be the best way to go about it, in my opinion. But you could also set and forget, buy some, and come back, I don't know, after 2, 3, 4 months, especially in projects that you are that you know that you made some fundamental analysis. Maybe you believe in the team, maybe you believe in the product, maybe you evaluated its potential and you think that it could go very high. Sometimes the more you trade, the worse it gets. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to let it run and come back after a period of time and take profit then. That's all I have for you. When we are talking about this asset, about Radiant RXD, it's on an uptrend on the daily time frame. It's a very low cap coin. Yes, it is a bit overbought, but if I were interested in this coin, or if I were interested in making an investment decision on this coin, then I think that I wouldn't wait for a pullback, not necessarily. I would just buy some, but not with a lot of money, with an amount of money that wouldn't make it uncomfortable if I lost it. And I would come back and review this asset after a month, after 2 months, after 3 months, and I would make a decision then. That's all I have for you on RXD and about charting. I hope it helps you, and I will see you in the next video.